And let's get... Whoops.
Oh, now I'm notes.
No, there we go. What is going on with that? That's so weird. Yeah, well, I can do that, but that's... Okay, well, the stream is going, so, my,
All right.
my XSplit is just now acting confused on me. It's, working differently than usual. But hello, everyone. Welcome. Uh, I'm,
Yeah.
I'm Christiana Ellis.
I'm Mike Mateen.
And we are talking about Survivor. Woo!
Yay.
So, coming up this Wednesday, the 25th of September, the next season of Survivor is going to premiere, Survivor Island of the Idols. And as has been our tradition, we are going to do a pre-show wherein we will look at the cast profiles on the CBS.com website, seeing them for the first time, and make snap judgments about the contestants. Because why not? Before we jump into the specific castaways, though, here's a question for you.
Yes.
What do you think about the what? Yes. What do you think about the whole premise of this season?
So, as per usual, I'm not at all prepared for
Well,
this.
that's all right. I mean, so I don't
So,
really
I,
have
I
any
need to
new
be reminded
information.
of the premise. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So that's probably a lot of people probably need a reminder anyway. Too. That's true. So this I don't really have any information that I didn't have from the what we got at the finale preview, but the basic idea is that it's an all new set of castaways, but
Oh, they're
two-time
going to be
winners
involved. Yeah.
Sandra and Boston Rob are going to be on their like own island where it's not clear if every castaway gets to go automatically or if they get to win a chance to go visit them or something. But castaways can basically go and hang out with Boston Rob and Sandra and like talk strategy with them,
Right.
which is kind of a neat idea.
Yeah. Now that I remember it, I am in favor of seeing how this plays out because both Sandra and Boston Rob are good players, have good strategic advice, and are good TV, but just aren't. They're not good to have on in the regular vein of the show again. Like it doesn't make sense to do that.
I think that with
Someone's needed.
the last couple of seasons, I have definitely
You're an
been
idiot.
talking to your dog. For those of who are not picking up on the collar sounds and so on.
Well, and the toy being slapped against the ground and
Yeah,
prancing around, trying to get attention.
these
Yes.
things happen. But so I think I'm glad to have an all new set of castaways again because I feel like the last couple of seasons I've increasingly been feeling like having returning players versus new players feels lopsided in a way.
Yeah.
And so having all new players, but still gaining the benefit of having some familiar faces who get to be like built in color commentary for the
Right.
season is kind of cool.
I agree. I think it's basically like the best of both worlds, and that's a great way to put it. It's like when you have an athlete that can't play anymore, that you don't want to watch them on the field anymore, but you do like to hear their take from the broadcast booth.
Hmm.
It makes the game more enjoyable because it's someone you're familiar with who can give you insight that you don't have from not being a player. But yet you still have the players you want to see competing. So I think that I hadn't thought of that analogy. I think it's a great analogy.
The thing though that I am not at all on board with though, and we saw this in the preview last time, is the giant statues of Boston Rob and Sandra heads, which are just very unsettling. I'm not on board with those big things.
Everybody wants a statue of themselves.
Uh, I didn't actually watch it because of sort of the whole nature of our pre-show is to kind of jump in and make these snap judgments on things, but I couldn't help but notice that one of the little behind-the-scenes videos that you can watch is Sandra and Boston Rob react to their statues.
That's pretty good.
But the thing is, it's like at the same time, that's going to be a reality TV reaction. That's going to be a, oh, wow! That's so cool! I have never had a giant statue of me before. Thanks to the producers for bringing me back on this show so I can have a great big statue made of me.
Yep.
As opposed to going, what? Why did you do that?
Honestly, I can see Sandra saying that, though.
Yeah, that's true, I suppose. In fact, actually, it's like...
But I could see it happening.
It would almost be on brand, right? So...
Yeah. Like, that's just so unnecessary. Why?
Yeah. Well, yeah, so in any event, it's obviously supposed to evoke, big old idol statues or whatever, right? But...
Right.
I don't know. It feels like... I feel like if it just felt goofy, I could get on board with it, but it feels like the Uncanny Valley sort of goofy. You know what I mean? Like it's too weird. Like I can't even, I don't know. I don't want to overstate it necessarily, but every time I see the picture of it, I just say, no, please don't show me that anymore. But that's not what we're here to talk about tonight.
No, but it is part of the...
Yes. What we are going to do is our typical procedure here is that we need to give every one of these new contestants the opportunity to make an impression on us and to give them all a fair shake. And so by doing that, we will give them a grand total of 2 minutes each, where we will look at their profile according to the CBS website and make snap judgments about them. So, are you ready to start?
I'm ready to start. We are going to assume skip Sandra and Boston Rob since we already talked about that.
Yes, I think so. Anyone who wants to know all about them, there's plenty to be found, but we want to talk about the new folks. And so the website has them organized alphabetically by last name. So let's see.
Ronnie.
I've got to pick a sound for the the time's up. We used Eye of the Tiger last time. I don't know. Let's just go ahead and we can just.
I Will Survive.
You know what? I don't have that one as handy. I do have Gangnam Style.
That's fine.
You know what? Let's just do. No, let's got By the Seaside.
That works too.
All right. So we're going to be starting with Ronnie Barda.
Ronnie Barda.
Starting the timer. So let's see. He is 35 from Brockton, Massachusetts, but lives in Nevada now. That's interesting. Hometown and current residence both listed, and he's a pro poker player. Hobbies: kickboxing, beatboxing, and hiking.
Yeah.
It seems like a missed opportunity to not have him be like a YouTube streamer, so it could be kickboxing, beatboxing, and unboxing. Pet peeves: when people try to enter my elevator just as I am trying to exit. Sure. Yeah.
I like that one. That's a legit pet peeve, because it's not a thing worth getting angry about, but it is kind of silly.
At the start of the sentence, I was a little worried that it was like being sort of the opposite thing of like when the doors are closing and someone's like acting like I should hold the door for them, but no, it's actually the opposite of that.
Yeah.
And Also, watching someone misplay a hidden immunity idol makes me nuts. Sure.
I do like that because I would consider myself falling into that pet peeve category. So,
Yeah.
uh, well, I think we should talk about like his occupation and whether that instead of just trying to like skim this. I mean, I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
Um, being a
Well.
professional poker player because you know one thing it's I bet it is there is some similarities in having to deal with the hand that you're dealt, but
Yeah.
still building a strategy and how do you respond and how do you try to get other players to respond based on your response. There's a ton of game theory in poker
Oh yeah.
because you can actually
Absolutely.
control your hand,
Reading people for sure.
right,
Yeah.
and trying to get them to read you incorrectly and to do
Yeah.
something.
I feel
Um,
surely like we. Oh well, there's the timer.
well, finish your thought and then we can.
I feel like we've definitely had a pro poker player before, but I can't recall off the top of my head who it was. It's been a while, but I feel like there was someone. But
So
you know,
he is initially interesting to me
yeah,
because of that.
sure. All right, next up we've got Lauren Beck. She is from. She's 28. Hometown is Bakersfield, California, and Rochester Hills, Michigan, but she currently lives in Glendale, California. So is that like a dad's in California, mom's in Michigan sort of deal, you think?
Probably, um,
I
you
mean,
know,
it's nothing wrong with that, but it's just interesting to have two hometowns listed.
yeah. Some people, if they were born one place and they kind of recognize it, but then they actually grew up, you know, with in like another place. A lot of times it's step families. Like you may have spent a year or two of your life in Rochester and want to be proud that you're from Rochester, but you don't have any memory of
Yeah.
Rochester. You moved to Bakersfield with your step family or something.
Or, people who like, oh, I spent every summer with my grandparents or something like that. In any case, her current occupation is she's a nanny. Hobbies: eating an entire bag of hot Cheetos in one sitting while binge watching true crime shows, laughing at my own jokes, writing slash. Oh, see, for some reason I was wanting all of these to be part of the one same hobby. Because, the Cheetos on the couch while with the true crime shows is kind of all phrased as one thing. And then I
Right.
was thinking, but is laughing at my own jokes something you do while you're doing those things? Probably not. I think it's a separate hobby. Um, my stepdad says I have the gift of gab. Thanks, Dad. Yeah, I mean, I get that just from the way the kind of this is sort of a run-on sentence, which is not a criticism. It's just kind of like, yeah, she seems like she's sort of the person who keeps talking until there's a reason to stop.
Yeah, a lot of this is written like she answered this verbally and not in writing.
Yeah. Oh wow, that one seems like it went fast.
It's because you spent a long time talking about the phrasing of her hobbies.
Fair.
Skimming just through the rest of it really fast, a lot of it is that same theme. She describes herself as bubbly. She's talks a lot about connecting with people, being like a lot like Siri. So that's kind of, I think she probably is self-identified to be similar to that, and I think I could see that. So, and not just in their appearances. I mean, seems to have that same like really friendly personality.
Yeah, the outgoing, bubbly's not quite right. What is it? I don't know.
So I mean, they're social,
Effervescent,
yeah.
which is
Effervescent.
a fancier bubbly.
Yeah.
All right, so next up we have Elizabeth Basil. Beisel. Starting the timer. 26. Hometown Rhode Island and current residence Rhode Island, same town. And she is an Olympic medalist.
Yep.
Let's see, what did she?
Good swimmer.
Swimmer? Okay.
Yeah.
Where did you skimmed to that part faster than me, or you recognize her?
I am aware of who she is. She's.
Okay.
I mean, I don't want to jump to this, but I don't want to say only a medalist in a relay, but like she she's not like a swimmer that. My point is, it's not a swimmer you would know because she's not, like somebody, Missy Franklin or somebody who's won a ton of medals. Like she is an Olympic medalist. She is good enough to do that, but she's more of a, the tier below, just good enough to be like one of the relay people is what I remember.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
Probably come in handy if they have a lot of water challenges.
Yep.
She hates when people have conversations while scrolling on their phones.
Fair. These are good pet peeves so far. Like these are legit. Like these are actual. Like a lot of times they're just like they're not really what you would describe as a pet peeve, but these have been good and they're true minor annoyances and not huge issues.
Yeah.
And not something stupid.
So, what's one thing we wouldn't know from seeing a photo of you? And she says she loves classical music and have played the violin since she was 3 years old. Which I think is great, but also makes me wonder why you would hand a violin to a 3-year-old.
I mean, honestly, sometimes not the violin part, but sometimes that's how people end up as Olympians. Is that parents have high demands on them from very young age.
That's true. I mean, I think that it's certainly true that you could start learning music. It conjures a weird mental image for me of this little toddler holding a violin that's like they're having a. Oh.
Yeah, I see it more as like the parent with really, really high expectations for them.
Yep.
So I'll just like my little summation real quick as we transition. I read her primary motivation is to compete again. Since she's retired from swimming, she's misses challenging herself. So I think that's a good motivation, and I think it'll be, whenever we've seen professional athletes, I think she's good in that she's not the tier professional athlete like a football player where people might say, oh, well, they shouldn't win the million because they've already done all these things, but still has the motivation and inclination that those people have, so she doesn't come with the baggage. I think that might be interesting. So.
Okay, cool. Next is Molly Byman. She is from Boston, but lives in Durham, North Carolina.
Hey,
she's a law student.
Those places?
Yeah, I know both of those places. She has lots of hobbies listed. They're all one-word answers almost. Board games, I guess, is, so running,
They're
skiing, biking, hiking, reading, board games, traveling, and bailing out for delicious meals.
Balling
out. Okay.
Balling out.
Sorry, I've got the small text as I've got my windows set up here. Although, I'm not sure balling out for a meal is, that's not a use of that phrase that I'm familiar with.
It is. It's a fair use of the phrase. It means that,
okay.
Yeah, it means that she's, basically she's willing to spend more than necessary for a really good meal. She's willing to kind of go out above and beyond.
Yes, okay. And that would be balling out.
That's what balling out
derived is. From being a baller?
Yeah, so spending exorbitant amounts of money on things that are not you could ball out on jewelry or tattoos or clothes or things. So a meal is one to say that's something I'm willing to spend my money on, even go above and beyond. So.
Well, I think it's important in life to try to learn something new every day. So today my thing has been learning the idiomatic use of the phrase balling out.
Yes.
Pet peeve, being unwantedly touched. Yeah, sure. I mean, that's...
Yeah. Fair enough, yeah.
Her family is her inspiration. She's oldest of 4 and oldest of 13 cousins. And she's close with them. She likes Lindsay Weir from Freaks and Geeks. And also, I can read tarot cards.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think the thing from her is there's nothing super interesting in this biography as I was skimming it while you were talking. But we have had law students on before, and they have done well. She just seems like a normal, down-to-earth, smart person. So.
The thing about lawyers and law students is that inherently part of their training is how to speak well and be persuasive.
Yes. So that can bode well. So,
Indeed.
So far, I haven't seen anybody that looks like they're going to be annoying. These people all actually, these people all actually look like there's some. I have some interest in following that. So
Yeah. All right. Next up is Missy Bird. She's 24 from Decatur, Georgia. I think we've been pretty young slanted so far, just in the ones we've read.
she's the youngest. The others were between 27, 8, and 35.
Well, there's 135. All the others were in their 20s.
Yes. Okay. So
But she's an Air Force veteran.
cool.
Pet peeves: annoying human beings. Well, it's stark, the contrast looking at this profile compared to some of the others. Just how few words she uses compared to some of the other folks. And what I
Yeah.
mean is not like vocabulary, but just terse. You know, like pet peeves: annoying human beings, instead of 4 sentences worth of all the different things, or but 3 words to describe you: relentless, clever, and decently dope, which is 4 words, which is, I kind of like that adding. I like the audaciousness to dare to add the 4th word there.
So far on our snap judgments, she is the weakest so far.
Well, she just doesn't say very much.
Yeah, very, very surface level. Like annoying human beings is a pet peeve. Like,
Yeah.
okay, that's not as good as like the other ones, which are like very unique things that that can bother that can bother you. Her answer why I think she thinks she'll survive is because Beyonce once wrote a song about surviving. Like, uh, you know what we wouldn't know from seeing a photo of her. She enjoys tea and a book. Like, I don't get that. Like, it's just I mean I don't think there's something wrong with her. I mean,
Well, yeah, I mean,
it's less
a hot cup of
interesting.
tea and a good book. Yeah, like, sure, I like those things too. It's not necessarily the thing that I would pick to sort of spark interest in me.
Right. The idea behind that question is that you're supposed to answer something either that like a unique thing about you or something that you do that is so different from what someone's initial judgment is by looking at a photo of you.
Yeah,
This is
like
a very general thing that people like. Like
yeah,
it's not you're
the
not shocked.
implication is something that people might be surprised to learn.
Right. Like it was surprising to learn that an Olympic swimmer also had to play violin at 3. That was surprising.
Yeah.
Um, that
But
that,
she's also young too, which is it's like,
yeah, fair enough.
yeah. So we will see.
Yeah,
So
I'm open to
yeah,
seeing how
yeah.
she.
Moving right along, we've got Janet.
Oh, I never even heard it go off.
Huh? Oh yeah, no, it did.
Oh, sorry.
I'll make it louder, or point it up more towards the microphone.
Yeah, sorry.
That's
I
okay.
didn't know we had stayed on her longer than we needed to.
No, only just several of the others you've talked for 45 seconds after the timer went off.
Well, I just felt like it was a good transition.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. I'm
Yeah,
just saying. Yeah, I'll try to point it more at the microphone so you can be sure to hear it.
I'm good.
All right. So next is Janet Carbon, the oldest so far at 59. Um, she is from Neptune, New Jersey, but currently lives in Palm Bay, Florida. She is chief lifeguard. She's also a little bit more terse in her answers, meaning, not using 5 words where 2 will do.
Yeah. She
Um,
also the first word she describes herself with is aggressive.
yeah. Enthusiastic and vivacious. That sounds like that could be a lot.
She does sound like a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
her inspiration in life is Tina Turner.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do like this though. The one thing we wouldn't know from seeing a photo, that because she basically says what you see in her photo. It reads weird
Mm-hmm.
at first, but she says I come off tough and stern. But that's not her answer. What she's saying is in my photo I look tough and stern, but that's
Mm-hmm.
not true.
Yeah.
So I like
Interesting.
that you addressed that.
Well, so that sparks in me a curiosity, just because someone who describes themselves as aggressive, enthusiastic, vivacious is maybe the one of those that doesn't seem like it fits with the other two as much. Could, but not obviously, right? And so I would be interested, just because I have certainly known lots of people who would not say of themselves that they were tough and stern, but I would say that of them.
Right.
Because it might be one of those people, because what you can get is people who they want to be just light and fun, except people just keep doing things wrong all the time, and you have to set them straight before we can be light and fun.
Right. That's
Right?
funny.
So I don't know if that'll be like how she is. Maybe she's right that she's not tough and stern, even though that might be our first impression. So you hear it that time?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just that my closing is that I think that being the chief lifeguard will mean that she is an athletic older person, and that will help her. So, all right.
All right. Next, Kelly Kim. Starting a timer. 29, from Costa Mesa, California, but currently lives in Philadelphia. Occupation, MBA student. Hobbies, Settlers of Catan, and, okay, for extra nerd points, she clarifies which expansion packs she prefers. Cities and Night, in particular, which, as someone who's, dabbled in board games and enjoys tabletop games in general, that's pretty nerdy. Settlers of Catan is a great game, but to specify the expansion is nerdy. And so I dig that already.
Yeah, I thought that was funny too.
Yeah. What's one thing we wouldn't know from seeing a photo of you? I hate mayo. And then she expands on that. If I had to eat a tub to get to the final 3, I'm not sure I could do it. And I don't like whipped cream, vanilla frosting, or sour cream. That's okay. I'm interested in that because that seems like it's a texture color thing as opposed to a flavor thing.
Right. So she going through a lot of these answers, like she seems at home in her geekiness in a really funny way,
but
in a confident way.
Yeah, but she also says
deprecating,
but also Harvard varsity soccer team.
Right. So I think that's pretty impressive. You know?
Yeah.
So she's obviously smart, athletic, motivated, geeky, but owns it. I think she's pretty cool from this so far.
Yeah, my favorite so far, I think. Why do you think you'll survive? My pain tolerance is high, and I love to make difficult things fun. With a pinch of luck and a good meat shield, I'll win. That's great.
I think she's tied for my favorite. I got to go with the swimmer just because.
Yeah. Oh, fair. Sport loyalty.
Yep, sport loyalty. So, but they are almost equivalent, I would say. So.
All right. Next up, I just realized that except for the very first guy, we had all women, since all the other ones we've done so far are women. Just by coincidence.
That tradition of women having last names that are earlier in the alphabet.
Are you kidding?
Yes.
I was going to say, you just managed to deadpan that one extremely well. I was just like, okay, that makes no sense, but you said it very persuasively. Are you sure you're not a law student?
I am a former MBA student.
Oh, there you go. So
onward.
All right, now that just has me going off on tangents in my head. But so next up we have Dean Kowalski, and him in this white T-shirt makes me think he's got to be, from On the Waterfront or a Streetcar Named Desire or something. He's kind of got, I don't know that he looks so much like young Marlon Brando, but somehow I think the name reminds me. The name in the T-shirt, Stanley Kowalski from Streetcar Named Desire.
He reminds me of like a cleaned up version of what's the guy in Fast Times at Ridgemont High?
God. I know who you mean. Sean Penn, the actor.
Sean Penn, right. But I can't remember the stoner character. Anyway,
I have not seen that movie in forever. And anyway, this guy's
he looks like a cleaned up version of that.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, like 10 years out of high school, that guy has actually gotten a job in
tech sales.
Yeah, tech sales. Yeah. Lives in New York City. Hobbies: basketball, crafts, and DJing.
That's pretty cool in New York. I love the pet peeve he has here of people from the back pushing up upon airplane landing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So annoying. Like,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
just we all are going to get off the airplane within minutes of each other.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Like,
people who won't like people who won't let you into their lane in stop and go traffic.
right, like,
Eh, anyway, he
yeah,
says he's jovial, observant, and likable. Those are promising words.
those are things that I would think of him based on his picture.
Yeah, he's got a nice smile.
Yeah, he's got a very good, like, kind of the eyes almost squinted closed, like just
Uh
such a
huh.
big grin. So,
Yeah, feels genuine. He craves new challenges and experiences, and it's the most uniquely strategic game ever.
I just cleaned that window. Why are you nozzling it?
Well, there's the timer.
Just want to
Um,
see outside, Dad. I just want to see what's outside. Well, that's why I have to clean the window, bud. You put your
mhm.
nozzle all over it. All right. Yep. Yeah, I think he's interesting.
Yeah, could be.
So could
All
be.
right.
Yeah, seems
Next,
fun. Seems happy. So
yeah, we've got Tom Laidlaw, who is 60. So he is now the oldest of the players we've seen so far. He is a former NHL player. Currently lives in Greenwich, Connecticut. Hobbies: watching Survivor. There you go. Anything fitness and hanging with the people I love. That's a 60-year-old man thing to say for sure. Not that I'm criticizing, but it is.
yep.
Um, he does look like he's in pretty good shape just from the pictures. You know, like looking at his shoulders. He looks
Yeah, I mean, he's a
pretty
former
big for a 60-year-old.
former hockey player. Obviously,
Yeah.
like especially at that age, like he played some rougher hockey back.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Um,
Um, the thing people wouldn't know from seeing a photo is that he doesn't like heights. So hopefully that won't be a problem in challenges. You know, it's unclear how high does it have to be to trigger the
yeah, like whether that's
dislike of
going to be like a
heights.
thing that they have to like
Yeah.
select him, especially
Standing
based
up
on.
on a platform, is that too scary?
Yeah.
He is most proud of raising his two sons to be strong, independent men. Family man. Um, he thinks he'll win Survivor, because he knows how to build an alliance and win challenges, and then do whatever it takes to win. It. He doesn't really elaborate on how he knows those things, but okay. I mean, none of his other answers seem directly connected to that, but that's fine. Oh my God. Okay, his 3 words are disciplined, dedicated, and stubborn. Which it's like kind of a one-track focus there for the 3 words. Um, yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see. It's hard to get a sense of his personality from that profile. Like, what does he like to talk to? Hard to say.
Yeah, I mean, he did. I mean, I'm open to him, but he seems like a character we've had before that is not my favorite to
He's a
watch.
little two-dimensional on the profile. I mean, obviously, we're making snap judgments based on some banal magazine interview answers. There's a dog.
I'm getting a work call.
Uh-oh.
Sorry. It's just,
Well, so those of you, those of you who are listening only to the audio version are missing out on the wonderful pictures of occasional dogs on the video. Mike has had to step away, and you also see this is what's great about podcasting is you get this intimacy of the peek into our real lives, which I'm saying a little bit sarcastically, but only a little, because I think there is an intimacy to podcasting that is meaningful, and it's part of what I think has kept me in it all this time, even as I have, expanded into not only video but live streaming. But yeah, so it's good stuff. But so we've been doing Survivor, talking about Survivor for a long time since I can't recall exactly when Talking About Survivor became its own show, but we actually started a podcast called Talking About Stuff way back in 2006. And we talked about Survivor within, we had episodes about it that, that fall season, I believe, was that the first one that we talked about on the podcast. And so we've been doing this for a long time, more than 10 years. And it's kind of cool. Obviously there are a lot of other podcasts out there about Survivor that are, maybe more professional, or they work to get interviews with the players and that sort of thing. And that's great. I would never criticize anyone who's ambitious in that regard, but I think, the podcast that that we're doing here, that Mike and I are doing, grew out of the fact that he and I used to just talk about the show on the phone before. Before it was a podcast, we just had these same conversations over the phone, and so just making it a podcast just seems like it adds one extra step. Hopefully, we'll have Mike back soon. But this is like the little intermission in the middle of our Snap Judgment pre-show. And,
Sorry.
Welcome back.
I figured you would just carry on without me.
I was just reminiscing about how we've been doing this since 2006.
Oh, I thought you were just going to keep moving.
Nope.
All right.
I'm waiting for you to come back.
Appreciate that. All right.
We're ready next for Jason Linden. I have to reopen my phone so I can start the timer. Here we go. He is 32, from New York City, and he's a personal injury lawyer, and he's got that so stylish, but I think actually kind of cool, slight little shock of gray in his hair, like where it's mostly dark, but it's just got that little bit of a flash of it in the front of gray. I think that looks pretty cool. I don't know if he's done that deliberately or if it really just grew that way, but I like it. Pet peeves: bullies, slow walkers, and when someone coughs or sneezes without covering their mouth. Yeah, those are good. He says he's charismatic, determined, and direct. He is a huge Fish fan. He met his wife at a Fish concert.
Wow, okay. Now, I guess I would be a big Fish fan, too, if I met my wife there, but...
Yeah. So how much of a Fish fan was he before he met her there, you suppose?
I mean, he was enough to be at a concert. You got to be a big Fish fan to go to a concert, but Fish.
Well, yeah.
Like going to
I have known people who actually did the whole thing where all of their vacation time was planned around going to multiple Fish concerts per year, every year. And boy, sure, all right. I mean, I guess you find a community there, and that's where anyone can find pleasure in any kind of one of these hobbies, but
yeah.
All right. Different strokes for different folks.
I was about to say it's a mostly harmless thing, but it's not often paired with other more harmful habits. Anyway, yeah, I'm reading some of his other answers. Like he seems pretty. I mean, he seems like a guy that would be a fan of Fish. Like he seems pretty laid back, like in his stuff. Oh, there we go.
I will just one last thing that I saw here is that what he says: primary motivation for being on Survivor. He says the love of the game. He wants to play. I need to play. This is like Darwinism in its truest form, and I don't know. That phrase feels like a little bit of a red flag to me. I don't know. Maybe it's just a buzzword that I just feel like the people who use that word on Twitter are usually not the kind of people I like as much. But I don't know. Maybe it's just a coincidence. Like the word obviously pre-existed, but I just mean describing, like when people use phrases like social Darwinism, like that can lead some weird places. But maybe it's fine. Could be nothing. We'll see. All right. Next up, Aaron Meredith. I wonder if his parents considered that before they named him, that Aaron Meredith is kind of like just the sound of it is probably, I don't know if he got teased in school or what, but probably not once he got as big as he looks like he is in this picture.
Well, he's a gym owner as an occupation, so.
Yeah,
And his first
36.
hobby is lifting.
Yep. Lifting, traveling, and outdoor activities. Sure.
Not a fan of his pet peeves.
No, just.
I don't like people who say driving slow in the left lane. Like that's a. My pet peeve is people who drive so aggressively that they get fired up if they can't speed in the left lane.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I try not to do it if I'm going to drive the speed limit because I recognize those people exist, but I don't like that. I don't think that that's like there's a right to like leave that open for people who want to drive aggressively.
Right. Yeah. He describes himself as attractive, intelligent, and strong. I mean, certainly we can tell just by looking at the picture that he does seem like he's probably strong, although sometimes what we have seen is the more muscly guys have the crash problem when they don't get the food they need.
He also wrote part of the reason he'll win is he knows how to work people. Like, and it's just, I don't know, this guy seems like he's going to be a little too aggressive.
Could be. Yeah. Know how to work people. Like.
It's just a weird way to describe it. Like, you know, yeah. I mean, it's not the wrong thing to, if it's something you can do, it's a useful trait in Survivor. It's just, I don't know, I just don't like the way he phrases some of this stuff. It just comes across as really. It's like a weird, like almost like he's trying to be like too alpha.
The timer just went off, and I kind of stopped it a little aggressively there, but so you wouldn't maybe not have heard it. I will just have a final thought of his answer. What we wouldn't know from the photo is that he once had a kettle corn business, drove up the East Coast, popping popcorn at fairs. I don't know. I kind of like that. I feel like that is the perfect sort of answer to that sort of question. Is just some random little interesting trivia tidbit.
Yeah. Okay, he has slightly redeemed himself.
All right, next up, Vince Moa. That's Moua. You think I got that right, Moa? Moa? I don't know.
I don't know that either of us is going to get it quite right because I think there is a little bit of a Moua, but not as hard as I'm saying it, not as flat as you are. But I don't. Yeah.
Well, we'll hear him say it perhaps, or they'll say it on the show, or maybe they won't. They'll just say he's Vince.
He can just be Vince.
Yeah, he is 27. He currently lives in Palo Alto, California, and he is an admissions counselor. See, he, compared to some of these others, is definitely one of the wordier contestants. He has long answers to all of these things.
Yes, and some of them I think are trying to be funny, and they're falling flat on me in writing. I'll say. When people don't understand that the middle seat passenger has the right to both armrests, like I feel like that's how he's saying it, like it's a joke, not that he's a jerk that thinks that you get to take both armrests. Like,
I think. Although, I have to say that although I would not call that a commonly accepted bit of cultural etiquette, after considering it for a moment, I think I have to agree because the middle seat has no other alternative. Right? Both of the other parties can lean outward away from the middle, right? The person in the middle can't.
Maybe he's not joking. Maybe he does actually believe that. But I don't agree with you. I believe there's a symbiotic relationship between the three people that need to identify who has the rights to which armrests.
Well, certainly it can be context dependent.
Yeah, particularly want the aisle so that they have one where they can completely go up, but you can't lean all the way into the aisle because
but the person in the middle can't lean at all.
Right, but you can't give up the entire armrest, so that's why you need to decide like the person in the middle should be comfortable with both armrests if they are in the front position on the armrest. and potentially take the one from the person on the window if that person is leaning on the window and that's why they've chosen the window. But the other person should have equal arms on both. That's why
Well, we spent the whole 2 minutes talking about that, so Vince,
well,
we'll get to
we
know you
wrote
on the
very, very
show.
long answers, so it was
Yeah.
probably the best use of our time because we couldn't have gotten to anything else anyway.
So next up is Jack Nichting. Nichting. What do you?
I think it's nicking, but you never
Nichting,
know.
probably Nichting.
Night King?
Could be. He's 23. Is that the youngest so far? I think maybe.
Yes, I think the youngest we'd seen so far was 24.
Yeah, he is a grad student in Harrisonburg, Virginia. Hobbies: CrossFit, listening to and singing musicals. Thumbs up. All you can eat sushi and exploring the world. I like those things. I mean, CrossFit is not something I do personally, but I certainly like the other things.
Yeah.
Being
I like his
wasteful
three
as a
words.
pet peeve. Yeah. Oh, so the 3 words?
Yeah, determined, dreamer, and social. I like determined and dreamer as like two separate things.
Yeah.
But it can be funny together too. Like I'm a determined dreamer.
Right. Well, and it just makes me think about was that Tom that had determined and disciplined and stubborn as the 3 words?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
I feel like this fits more though. Like I feel I can see how you can do both.
That's my whole point though, is that his 3 words are like different things about him.
Right.
Instead of kind of saying this approximately the same thing with 3 different words.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. His inspiration.
He calls his mom the goat.
Yeah.
I love it.
Ultimate free spirit and the definition of a goat. Spelled with the full acronym, spelling capital letters with the periods in between.
Yes. Not actual goat.
Yeah. So he can easily be perceived as a laid-back, long-haired, ditzy guy. In reality, I can be quite intellectual, intentional, and love having serious, deep conversations with people. That last part, I totally would not be surprised about that. I could tell, just, I mean, I look at his picture and I say, yeah, that's the sort of guy who loves having deep, serious conversations with people. Like, I'm not kidding. It's just one of those things where, like, almost to like where you could say it in a negative way, like the sort of person who could corner you at a party and want to talk about way too personal stuff. But maybe not. I don't know. He has a nice smile too. We will see. All right. 7 remaining. Next is Karishma. Yeah. Patel. Sorry, where I've got my windows here, I need to increase my text size because I'm having to lean way away from the camera to look at things. Okay. Well, I'm starting the timer now. She's 37. I would not have guessed that from the picture. She lives in Houston. She is also a personal injury lawyer, so that's 2 plus a law student so far this season. Experimental cooking as a hobby. That's fun. Hosting theme parties. Nice.
It's experimental cooking.
Well,
trying new things.
Well, it could be just like not following a recipe, just trying, new combinations without necessarily following someone else's instructions. But it could also be really like seeking out unique combinations and like, I don't know. I'm speculating because I'm no more of an expert in experimental cooking.
Yeah, you don't need to speculate. If you don't know, you don't know. I mean, it could be.
Yeah.
It's either trying new things or not following the recipe, which I'd be more interested if it's not following the recipe.
Pet peeve when the tire hits the curb while parallel parking. And like, yeah, okay. Like that's not even something that someone else does. That's just like, that's annoying when that happens. That's kind of fun.
I like that.
Yeah. She has taken 3 state bar exams. Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Texas, and passed them all on the first try. I don't know. Like, how different are they from one another?
What, bar exams?
Yeah,
I mean, they have like the nuances of each state's law, so I
I
mean,
suppose that's true.
yeah,
Um, so
it's not
she,
like I two,
what we
you know.
wouldn't know from her photo is that she is terrified of alligators, and just saying that word gave me chills. Is what she says.
That's funny. It's particularly funny to me because my sisters would be that same thing, but change alligators for hippos.
Oh, well, hippos certainly. I think. I think the cultural awareness of how mean and dangerous hippos can be has started to penetrate the mainstream. I think. I feel
Ah,
like it used to be unusual knowledge a while back, but I feel like most people know that now.
yeah.
Except
Well,
for
I think
Fiona. Fiona is very cute. The little baby hippo.
yes, but that yes, I have a bobblehead of Fiona actually. Um, I'm not kidding. It's not here, so I can't show you, but I do have one.
Pics or it didn't
Um,
happen. We'll have to show it on camera in the next episode.
I can do that. No, but this is really just I'll do the brief aside is to close it out. But my why I just said that because my sister is not only it's not just her picture, but she is also an animal trainer for a living.
Mm-hmm.
So to think that and aquatic animals. So to think an aquatic animal would be like her fear is odd for her. But
Hmm.
it's what you just said is the reason why is because she is very well versed in animals. She is aware that hippos are not cute and are very mean spirited and angry all the time and incredibly dangerous. Um, so that's why she is terrified of them. But
Uh,
it doesn't fit with her personality, or you would think if you didn't know. So anyway,
so for an even further tangent on the subject of mean animals, a video game just came out today called Untitled Goose Game that I think looks amazing because it's basically the whole pretense of the game is that you're a goose and that you just go around being mean to people just because. And it's just like finding ways to just ruin people's day.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Most of my interaction is with Canadian geese, and
Mm-hmm.
I think I might have talked about that on one of these podcasts before. Is like that's my earliest memory is being bit by a Canadian goose.
Oh.
Like that's what booted up my memory. You
Yeah.
know, ah, like when you log on, at whatever 3 or 4 years old, and like that's when you kind of, like I said, boot up.
Sure.
That was
Yeah.
what did it.
Yeah. Very nice. For the longest time,
Anyway,
my earliest memory, I was something that I was later told didn't actually happen. So that's,
I think we have talked about this, but
yeah.
I don't remember what that was.
I don't know. It was years ago. I mean, mine was remember thinking that what
Oh,
my
I thought
memory
you
was.
that was like your earliest memory you don't remember.
No, 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 no. Well, I mean, it's debatable now, right? Because
No,
it's
no, I
like,
get it. But you were saying you don't remember whether we had the conversation. You
yeah.
don't. I thought you were
And it,
saying you also don't remember the memory once someone told you it didn't happen. You just forgot.
well, I certainly still remember it happening, but it is a first-hand example evidence of what science tells us is true, which is that technically every time you remember a memory, you are opening it up for modification. And
Mm,
so memories do change over time without us being aware that it's happening.
got it.
Yeah. So, next in our Survivor Castaway pre show that we're
You're
doing.
not going to share the memory again.
Oh, should I? Well, so the memory was
It's here now,
being
so you
three
might.
years old, going with my parents to pick up my brother from my new baby brother from the hospital, and I remembered recognizing the hospital building because it was shaped like an H. H for hospital. And then what I remember later sharing that memory, and my dad's like, "Hospital's not shaped like an H." I don't know why you would remember that. There's not a building like that anywhere you would have seen it. So
Right, so you clearly like implanted like the hospital symbol.
yeah, or it was from a book or something. Like I remember we were going to the hospital, and like it might have been from like a one of those Richard
Ernestine Bear.
Scarytown books or
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
Anyway,
All right, time to move on. That was a good
next
aside, though.
next is Nora Solomon.
Yep,
Salmon.
salmon.
Yeah. She is 36, Hometown London/Bethesda, Maryland. That's an even more dramatic, two different places for one hometown.
Yeah.
She currently lives in Maryland. She is an entrepreneur. Let's see if we can figure out what she actually does.
I'm not finding it in here.
Because sometimes when people say they're an entrepreneur, what they mean is that they have multiple failed businesses. Which is not exclusively true, but sometimes that's what that means. She describes herself as ambitious, passionate, and energetic.
She doesn't drink. She loves frogs. Never done a drug or smoked a cigarette. She didn't write them in that order. Those are all the same answer. I just put them in that order.
I agree. I like that her thought process went from I love frogs to I don't drink.
Yeah. These are the two most interesting things about me.
Yes.
I love frogs. I don't drink.
She thinks she will survive Survivor because she is multidimensional and not just one thing or person. I'm the nerd, jock, and model with the brains, brawn, and beauty.
You're the Breakfast Club.
Most importantly, I have the social skills needed to both win and influence people. They won't forget about me.
That is amazing that she unironically quoted the end of the Breakfast Club, but not meaning to.
Well, what are you gonna do?
Sorry, I'm gonna.
No.
That,
she can't pet peeves, people lacking personal hygiene and table manners. Well, let's see how you fare on Survivor.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I don't have she doesn't form a positive opinion. I mean, I'm not negative on her.
She's got kind of like a mom vibe. She reminds me of my stepmom a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. Next up is Tommy Sheehan. Probably Sheehan. I don't think you pronounced the hard H, right? He's 26, lives in Long Beach, New York. He is a 4th grade teacher. He likes surfing, sports, and asking questions to his magic 8-ball. All right.
I hope that's a weird joke.
I feel like it's gotta be. It almost feels like it's a little bit too try hard to be a funny answer. You know what I mean? Because it's obviously not a hobby. Like, he can have a magic 8-ball and like it and ask questions of it. Like, that might be a fun thing that he actually really does. But it's not really a hobby. And it feels like a deliberate joke answer to hobbies. Right?
Yeah, like maybe it's a thing that, like a joke with him and his students or something like that. He has, like, a 8-ball on his desk.
It's
and, like,
a
when
shtick.
when they ask the question, he's like, let's ask the magic 8-ball. Like, I could see that. That would make this make more sense. Yeah.
Yeah. He says he's outgoing, competitive, and goofy. Those seem like good qualities for a 4th grade teacher.
Oh, God. Yeah, and even his answer, like, he is... I think the 8-ball thing is like a 4th grade teacher, like, joke thing, because his pet peeve answer is kind of like that, too. He can't stand grumpy and serious people. Lighten up. Life is amazing. Let me see that smile. You know?
LOL.
LOL. Yeah. So, yeah.
That rubs me the wrong way a little bit.
He's definitely a 4th grade teacher.
Yeah.
He has a killer Disney coffee mug collection.
Ah. Nice. I have to say I don't like being told to lighten up. Like,
that's a pet peeve of yours?
Yeah. I guess it is. I wouldn't have even said so if you'd asked me, but I feel it now.
So he seems like he's good-spirited, but it'll be interesting to see if, like, that 4th grade teacher vibe is actually found to be, like, is funny, like, when you actually, like, the whole point of Survivor, when you, like, cut people down to your core and you can't have that, like, front anymore.
Might be that he finds himself in a group of adults that don't enjoy being treated like 4th graders.
Could happen. also, if he makes it far, like he could lose some of that, and it might be a little odd for him. I'd be interested to see kind of how that works when you can't have that sort of smiley front.
Yeah.
So
And I have to say, obviously, you can't necessarily always judge these things from a still picture, but his smile in the picture they've got on the website is a little bit like one of those smiles where you're kind of smiling with your mouth and not your eyes. And like sometimes that
yeah,
just happens when people are taking your picture and like the camera just actually catches you right in the middle of changing expression or something like that. Like they've just told you, "Okay, smile. Now you're done," and you're just like in the middle of dropping this, like the picture smile, right? So that happens, but like some of the pictures have very nice genuine smiles in the picture and his is a little bit more like, "Did you take it?"
yeah. No, I mean, like, because like compared to like Dean that we looked at before, like he was
Mhm.
definitely smiling with his eyes. Like we even mentioned that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
Mhm.
well, we'll see.
Yeah. So yeah, that there's a lot there. I think that could go potentially either way. We'll see. Next is Jamal Shipman, 33, lives in Rhode Island. I feel like we've had a disproportionate number of people from Rhode Island and Maryland and New England generally in this season, which is not a bad thing. I'm just curious. He is an admissions counselor K through 12. Uh,
Mm.
Is that me? Okay, is that like,
I think give me a pause too.
yeah. So is that like
It's got to be like a private
getting,
school.
yeah, admissions to private schools perhaps? Or
Yeah,
like charter magnet schools or something like that? Or what I was thinking is like if you were the counselor that helps high schoolers get like into college, that could make sense, but you probably wouldn't say K through 12 for that.
yeah, you'd say high school admissions counselor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm
Interesting.
assuming it's got to be like a
Yeah,
private
that
school.
sounds like it's probably right.
Yeah, because
Um,
there are a lot of private schools that run the full
yeah.
K through 12 gamut.
He
Um,
likes coaching basketball, taking West African and salsa dance lessons, teaching myself the bass guitar, and losing in fantasy football leagues. I like that. That seems like a well-rounded guy to me.
yeah, and I like his joke because I always make that joke sometimes too with like Call of Duty.
Hmm?
I don't necessarily enjoy playing Call of Duty. I enjoy losing at Call of Duty.
Is he have that here somewhere? I didn't see that one.
Uh, no, he said losing in fantasy football.
Oh, I see, I see, I see. Yeah,
I'm saying I like the way he made that joke. Like
yeah,
he doesn't say I like fantasy football. Like he's
yeah,
making this sort of self-deprecating. Like I
yeah.
can never win fantasy football,
I
but I
know
keep.
that I'm not like actually doing great, but I enjoy playing
It's just
regardless.
something I like
Yeah.
doing,
Hmm.
so I'm going to keep doing it even if I keep getting killed all the time. Yeah, or yeah. So
Okay, well, so actually, he talks in this accomplishment a little bit about like where he's going. Because after 8 years at the public school where my mom is still a teacher, I was accepted to the Prep for Prep program in New York. So it's probably something like that. Yeah,
so that's his experience.
yeah,
Yeah, that
but yeah,
sounds like
like
yeah, it sounds like he's a prep school admissions person because of his experience
yeah.
at a prep school. Yep.
Hmm.
All right.
All right, cool. So we
Uh,
have
one thing I have to put this. One of his
okay.
things we wouldn't know from his picture is that he was part of an a cappella group.
Ah, nice. Well, we certainly saw the dance lessons and the bass guitar thing. Like, music
Hmm.
is clearly important to him.
Yeah, I like that though. I think that's
Yeah,
funny.
I do too.
That's a good one too because it's like it's a
Yeah,
thing that not a lot of people are.
and you would
Yeah.
not guess it for sure.
Right.
Yeah, and it's yeah. So okay, so we got three left. We got next is Dan Spilo or Spilo, probably Spilo. He is 48. He is a talent manager in Los Angeles. Wow, I just from that opening, I would have kind of maybe expected more wordy answers, but these are also kind of the relatively terse.
Yep.
Hobbies, adventure travel, movies, and fitness. Oh man. Pet peeves, trouble dealing with stubborn people, but I respect EQ as much as IQ, ignorance and closed mindedness. It's weird because like at the same time that I kind of like agree in principle. The way he phrased that feels weird.
Yeah, and I'm reading through more of this. Like I'm listening and reading.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of this feels like he's either a really really awesome dude, or he's just like knows what a really awesome dude should say. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like this was a general 48-year-old guy, like adventure travel, movies,
Yeah.
fitness,
Well.
articulate, charming. I love one of the things I'm most proud of is keeping my marriage fun and loving and passionate for 20
Mm-hmm.
years, raising two loving, considerate boys. Like
Yeah.
these are great things, and they're probably true, but it's like it feels almost like edited. You know, like
I
he's
will
telling
say,
himself. You
who or
know,
what is your inspiration in life, and choosing Jane Goodall and actually elaborating on that is an interesting answer.
yeah, that's probably the most genuine one that we can see in here.
Yeah, because some of the phrasing is just a little weird. Like, what wouldn't we know from seeing a photo that I am a big softie? As my first client always reminds me, I cried at Finding Nemo, and I'm just like,
Right? It's almost like
there's some weird notes in that sentence.
it's like when those you ever see those scripts that the AIs write?
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's what that's like what this feels like. Hey AI, write the script of a guy from New York City who lives in Los Angeles, 48-year-old dad, you know,
Uh,
who is a good dude.
we've got Steve Buscemi with the skateboard saying, "How do you do, fellow Survivor contestants?"
Yeah, yes. I mean, he may be more than that, but
Yeah.
you
Well,
know,
yeah.
like I
There's
that
something that
judgment is
feels,
part of the
yeah,
game. Yeah.
just a little bit out of phase in the way he phrases some of those things. I'm really interested to see what he's kind of like, in person.
Yeah, and I wonder if just some of that is like because of his job as a talent manager, like that's how he's just got this odd way of like how he has to
Yeah.
present clients and highlight things in a way that's like this is so awesome, but I'm going to try to make it sound human,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
that's kind of like what this sound like. So
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, so, people being a little bit quirky or just a little bit offbeat, out of step with everybody else can be great. Sometimes it's less great, but
yes,
can be great. All right. Next up, Elaine Stott, 41, lives in Kentucky, Rockholds, Kentucky. She's a factory worker. All right. Likes four wheeling, fishing, and taking my boat to the lake. I'm curious at fishing and taking boat to the lake being listed separately. You suppose that means she does different kinds of fishing and the boat is not necessarily always going to be fishing
yeah,
related?
yeah. I would think. I mean, there's a lot of people that do boating separate from fishing.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that these are all just she's just got these sort of outdoorsy rural activities.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, so pet peeves: guys who think women aren't their equals, girls who think they need to use their body to get ahead, and people who think their S asterisk 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 don't stink. Uh, there's a little bit of a feeling of like chip on the shoulder attitude with some of that, right?
yeah. Which it's weird because like you read through like the majority of them, and that's how the answer is. And then when we get to one thing we wouldn't know about her from the photo
Mm-hmm.
is people think I'm a real hard ass, but I'm actually a big softie. Like that sounds a little more self aware than like just the photo. Like it feels like she acts like a real hard ass all the time. Like she
Mm-hmm.
talks like a real hard ass through the whole first half of this thing.
Well,
So I don't think it's just the photo part,
yeah.
you know.
Well, it's like we were saying earlier with one of the other contestants. Which one was that? Oh, I don't have her. It was Janet, who also kind of said a similar thing, I think, where we commented how sometimes there are people who say, "Oh, people think I'm stern, but I'm actually not." And the experience of other people is that you are stern because you act stern, and just because you feel like you're a softie on the inside does not mean that other people don't experience you as stern.
Right.
So that that I wonder about that, but we'll see.
Yeah, the genuineness of it is going to be what's going to I think going to play for her because
Mm-hmm.
if she really is like this hard ass like grinder, like blue collar person, and it's endearing because she's a good, like a genuine softy good person, then I think that can work really well.
Yeah.
If it's bossing people around, having no tolerance for them, being stubborn, that's not going to play as well. So
Yeah. All right. Well, last but not least, Chelsea Walker. She's 26, lives in Los Angeles, and she is a digital content creator. So does that mean YouTuber? Does that mean just like that could be,
that could be a lot.
someone who does graphic design for, cartoons or commercials or something like that. But that you'd probably call that graphic design. But digital content creator is definitely one of those sort of buzzword titles that could mean almost anything.
It feels more like YouTuber. Like we have digital content creators at my work, and they have like a regular job. They just create content for all of our digital mediums. Like it's a thing that we need. But I don't think that's how they would describe themselves.
Yeah, well, it could also be that as opposed to like someone who we think of as like an amateur YouTuber, or someone who might make money at it but just kind of does it out of their own house or whatever. It could also be something like a company that makes videos for news or whatever, like she does, the voiceover for stuff like that, or is even maybe on camera for just like, hey, here's those 5 cooking tips for whatever, you know what I mean? Like you could call that a digital content creator too. Like you wouldn't even need to be the on camera like talent for that. You could be the person who writes the videos, right? And that would still theoretically be a digital content creator.
Yep.
Yeah. Her inspiration in life though is Larry David because he respects wood.
She has way too many Larry David references in here, by the way.
Is there more than one?
Yeah, hobbies, watching Curb Your Enthusiasm. What's one thing we wouldn't know from seeing a photo of you? I'm pretty good.
Is that a Larry David thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Curb Your Enthusiasm thing, but yeah.
Fair.
So there's 3 that I found without reading the whole thing.
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, she does go on at length in some of these answers, though, so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and it is part of being whatever kind of digital content creator. Like, you've got to have, like, an angle, like, something that's, like, sort of like your, you would call it a shtick, I guess, or, you've got to have something that's, like, unique to you. Like, that's what people like. And so it seems like sort of being the, 26-year-old Larry David fan is, like, her thing. And that could be okay. Like, it's nothing wrong with that. But she's definitely leaning into it in this so far. So,
yeah. Well, so that is our 20 contestants for this season. I think just looking back, as we talked about it, I was definitely a fan of Kelly and her nerdy board game references.
Yep, me too.
And then, we did them back to back, but Dean Kowalski just struck me as very sincere and genuine, and he looks like he would be fun to hang out with. Yeah. I mean, I don't think there was anyone that really stood out as like, I don't know about that. It was more like there were some where it's like, that could go either way, but I don't know if there was anyone that I actively disliked.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, I think, and it seemed to be disproportionate at the end. Like, Nora, Tommy, Dan, and Elaine all have me kind of, and maybe even Chelsea, have me a little fence sitting on them just based on how they actually turn out. I think my top 2 based on snap judgments are Elizabeth and Kelly for the women, and Dean and it's a toss-up actually between Jamal and Jack. I think Jamal, like, I think he's going to have that. Yeah, I think Jamal's going to actually have, like, one of the things, like, he seems like the kind of guy who's going to say less than he needs to, but when he talks, people are going to listen to him. Like, that's just kind of a vibe I got from reading his thing. and that can be very powerful in this game. So
Yeah.
and we're basing this literally off of ways that
Yeah,
they
all
answer.
of these, as we said at the beginning,
Yeah.
these are all snap judgments. We don't know these people. All we have is a photo and a little couple of paragraphs of a little interview, and we race through it all in 2 minutes, which is not even enough time to read it all. That's all we're doing. So what we have to wait is we have to wait until the show happens, and then we can see them there. And obviously, as we have of course talked about many times on the show, that's an edited version of who these people are too. It's outside their normal circumstances, and although the hardship of the game does tend to sort of break people down to their core, it's also fair that someone might fairly be a lot more grumpy and prone to snap at people when they haven't been eating well or sleeping well, and they might not actually act like that in their normal life, right? So it's yeah, but nonetheless, we see through a glass darkly, to make a random sci-fi reference for no reason. But yeah, we'll see this coming Wednesday when the premiere of Survivor Island of the Idols airs. So if you've enjoyed this pre-show, check us out for the for the regular episodes. And if you're listening to this, you've probably been listening to it for a while. If you found it just brand new, fantastic. Please reach out to me and let me know how you found out about it. If you've been listening, a long time listener, thanks for sticking with us. And we'll be back for more Survivor when there is more.
All right.
Your trademark sign off.
Sorry.
That's all right. I'm kidding. I'm kind of just amused because I whenever I'm posting the videos, it's like, yeah. All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night.